Hello everyone, welcome back. This month I'm so happy to be sharing something really close to my heart. It's a monthly collaboration called All About Animals that I'm doing with my sweet friend Yetta from Craft Along with Jay. We both absolutely adore animals and we've decided to come together each month to celebrate them through our crafts. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and I couldn't ask for a better partner than Yetta. Now let's get into the first project. I'm starting with a simple wood round that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. It was 40% off, so I snagged it for just a couple dollars, and I gave it 2 coats of burnt umber by Apple Barrel. And once that was dry, I went in with the color Nimbus by Waverly. And in the video, it might look white, but this paint actually is a really soft gray undertone. It's real nice. And you can see I'm letting that burnt umber show through the sides. So it looks like it has a frame. I did give this 2 coats and I let that dry real well. And I gave it a good coat of Mod Podge afterwards. The brush I use in this is from Brandy at the DIY Struggle. This brush works awesome for decoupage, just so you know. For the main image, I chose this beautiful little fox. There's so many sweet ones to choose from, but foxes are my favorite, so naturally I gravitated towards this one. And this came from Brandy at the DIY Struggle as well. This image has some really beautiful scroll work along the sides, but the scale fell off a bit, so I trimmed around the fox to remove any ornate designs for now. But don't worry, I'm bringing them right back, and I'm using the watered method with my water pen to gently trace around the edges of the paper to soften up the lines, and then carefully pull away the extra. This gives a torn, feathered look that helps everything melt into the surface more seamlessly. I like this method, and I never used to use it until recently. I've used Mod Podge for years and haven't really explored other mediums. I do use Paint Jacquard's Extreme Satin Guard on a lot of things, but I just ordered my first DIY medium liquid patina, so I'm really excited to use that. I almost ordered Big Top, but I'll just wait, see how this goes. I'm really excited to try it. Let me know in the comments if you use DIY's liquid patina and if you like it. So as you can see, I went back in with those beautiful scroll pieces and framed in my sweet little fox. I'm going to use a piece of parchment paper and my mini heat press to transfer the image. I took my time with this step, moving slowly and evenly, even though it looks like I'm going real fast on the video. I have to speed a lot of this up because you'd be here all day if you were watching me do this. In real time, that is. Just go over it slowly, and if you haven't decoupaged before, don't hesitate to peel back and just check, make sure it's stuck. But I've done it so much that I can pretty much tell by the way the iron feels on the paper if it's all set. And then I'm just going to give it another layer of Mod Podge. And I always have some bubbles, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I embrace them, and it just adds to that vintage charm. I'm bringing in some folk art Crackle medium, and I'm going to brush on a layer, not too thick, not too thin. I tread easily with Crackle medium because I just get a little nervous. I do. I get a little nervous. So I'm brushing on a thin layer, and I've been told to go sideways with it. And so you could see I started going, up and down, and I thought, well, somebody told me to go sideways with it. So the end result, I'm really impressed because I think it does make a difference. In fact, I think, if memory serves me, the DIY Diva is the one that said that. Don't quote me, but she's a rather talented lady, so I wouldn't be surprised if it did come from her. Geez, guys, I've been tripping over my words all day. Some days my stutter, I barely do it all day, and then other days I can't seem to get a word out without stuttering. So, but this method, I really like it. I think it worked very well. You can see I went onto my fox just a little bit. I was going to do the whole thing, and like I said, I got nervous. I let it dry for a very long time, and look at this, guys. This is so beautiful. Okay, I almost forgot to tell you, I am using Paint Chicora's Bronze Metallic Paint, and I'm applying it using this cheap makeup brush I got at Dollar Tree that another, who mentioned it? Kendra at Late Night Creation. She mentioned to use one of these brushes, so I've used one since. I'm using a damp microfiber rag just to wipe some of it back. If I take off too much, I can always dab on some more. It's really all about personal taste. I tend to lean toward a heavier distress look, but you can go as bold or as subtle as you like. And this is how it looks. Look at that. Beautiful. And if you're not a fan of gold tones, feel free to skip this step and use something more like maybe a walnut stain, or even just leave it sealed with Mod Podge and don't distress it at all. This fox is such a striking image on its own. It almost feels like it's looking right at you, right? I mean, I I almost think it is looking at me. Don't mind me. It's like 3:08 right now in the morning. I'm working this weekend. So tonight is my Friday night. So I'm staying up because I'm going into work tomorrow, which is, well, it is Friday right now, but it's confusing when you work night shift, okay? But I will go into work and I won't be done until Monday morning at 7:30. So this is how it's looking so far. Isn't it so cute? Oh my god, I love him. I think it's a him. He's beautiful. I start adding some texture and depth at the top using a mix of mosses, and I used both hot glue, and in that little white bottle is Aileen's tacky glue to secure it all into place. And I intentionally mixed several different types of mosses for added variety. I wanted this piece to feel like the little fox had just stepped out of the woods, tucked away in nature with greenery and florals surrounding it. The moss brought just the right touch of woodland magic to tie everything together. Now, to add to that woodland feel, I'm adding in some beautiful artificial rosemary that I think came from the Dollar Tree. I'm tucking it in right along the sides, right underneath the moss, and securing it in with a bit of hot glue. I think this adds such a lovely natural touch, like sprigs are growing right up from the forest floor. Don't you think? Now I'm bringing in these wooden flowers that I actually found at Goodwill, and funny enough, later I saw the exact same ones at Hobby Lobby. Of course, I couldn't resist picking up more. Not that I needed them, but in my mind I did. I've been trying to use them often, and they just worked perfectly here. I love this. And I added these sweet little berries that I picked up last Christmas on sale. And the first version of the project, you'll notice I only added them to one side. I thought I might give things a little slightly off-centered whimsical feel, but when I stopped and stepped back and looked at it again. Something didn't feel right. So in the next clip, you'll see that I decided to go ahead and add berries to the other side too. And I'm really glad I did. It balanced everything out beautifully and gave the whole piece a more finished, polished look without taking anything away from the rustic charm. All right, on to our next project. I found these cute little cutting boards at Goodwill. They have a design on the front and, or should I say image, and I'm not worrying about that. I'm painting right over it using my favorite black chalk paint I get at the Dollar General. Once they're dry, I pulled out these beautiful raven images I got off Etsy. I'll make sure to link them down below in case you want to check them out. I laid each image on top of the board just to get an impression of where I wanted it placed. Then I used my water pen to trace along the sides and gently tear away any of the excess. From there, I pressed my image right into the wet layer of Mod Podge, and then I sealed it in with more Mod Podge. This method is a little different from the one I used on the fox, but I like to mix things up, keep a little variation between pieces. What I do to one board, I do to the other. This is going to be a matching set. At first, I wasn't going to sand off the sides. That's why you see me putting down some Mod Podge and then pulling the image down around the sides. I was going to leave it that way, but then I wanted to distress it with my hand sander. So scratch that whole idea. I ended up cleaning up the sides and letting that distressed wood show through. Then I grabbed this pretty lace. It's got like all these little tassels along it. So pretty. The kind that I like to buy, I get from Hobby Lobby. It comes in big bundles, and it's real cheap. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but for what you get, you can see it along the side, and that's not all of it. You get a lot, and it's well worth your money. But I do secure it in with some hot glue, and then I give my tassels a little haircut so they wouldn't cover up my other raven's face because he's up a little bit high on the board. These are a lot of fun to make. They got that dark academia vibe to them and very much suitable for, people who style their homes that way or Halloween. I think these are lovely, and I think they would most definitely sell rather quickly if this is something that you'd like to make. My husband and I are actually starting a whatnot, and I'll be sure to share that information with you when we do. I'm taking some thread out of that same bundle and I'm going to just tie it around, well, run it through the hole and I'm going to tie it off. So the option will be there to hang it if need be. I just fray those up a little bit so they match the tassels. But this is how they both look, and I'm going to let you see the results at the end of the video. We're going to go right on to our next project. For this next project, I'm using a wood round that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm pairing it with this adorable paw print fabric that I got from Walmart. And I'm going to stain this using Varathane's smoke gray stain, and I'm going to do half of the board on the front side, and I'm going to do all of the back side of the board. On the other half, I'm going to use this upcycled chalk paint. I believe it came from Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure. It is not one of my go-tos, but I've been trying to use up what I have, so it works nicely here. I cast this frame with one of my IOD molds in resin, and I glued Maya's picture right onto the back. Maya was my very first dog. I've had her for 15 very short years, it feels like. and she was one of the biggest blessings in my life and one of the hardest losses. So this is for her. This is from my Maya, Miss Maya May. And I used some Aleene's tacky glue to glue her image right onto the back. I set that off to the side to dry and use my clamps, make sure it's adhered well. And I went over that whole half where I painted with chalk paint with a layer of Mod Podge. And I set that off to the side to dry. Then I went on Canva and I typed out Maya's full name. We always called her Miss Maya May. And I printed that out, and then to transfer it, I'm using carbon paper, as you saw. And I tried going in with a paint marker. That was not the way to go because it is raw wood, and raw wood does not work well. So I used chalk paint. And I did the same thing. This is a nail dotting tool, by the way. And I've painted that in with black chalk paint. A little off center, but that's okay. I'm embracing it. I think it's beautiful all the same. Not everything needs to be perfect, and that's what I always say. I am cutting my fabric to fit that side of the board. We're going to Mod Podge this right down to it. Fabric is just like tissue paper or rice paper. You can decoupage it down to any surface. And if you don't have one of these mini heat presses, these work awesome for small projects and real easy to store. And I go back and forth. I make sure it's adhered. I just lift up my parchment paper and just check and feel it over with my hands. You want to make sure it's on there. And it does transfer over nicely. I glue Maya's picture right down to the center. To finish the seam between the fabric and the stain, I added a strip of pretty lace, but first I sanded the edges of the fabric so it blended more cleanly into the board. Then I went back in with Aleene's tacky glue to secure the lace neatly across the middle. If you have an animal, leave me a message in the comments. Tell me something about them, even if it's their name and what breed they are, a fun story or a memory, anything. Go ahead and just leave me something down below. I love hearing from you. To highlight her pretty little picture, I went around the whole frame and brought out that beautiful ornate detail with some metallic paint. And of course, it's from Paint Jacquer. And I go over the whole thing to seal it in with Extreme Guard satin. I did accidentally get a bit of metallic paint on the fabric. You can see it in the photo, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. It's all part of the handmade charm, and I still think it came out lovely. I'm using my crocodile that one of my sweet subscribers gifted me to punch holes in my hangers. I took some black chiffon ribbon, threaded it through using my awl tool, and tied it off in the front for a soft, elegant finish. And that completes our final project. Each of these projects meant something special to me. The little fox felt like a quiet walk through the woods, soft and peaceful and full of earthy charm. And those little raven cutting boards, they had such a beautiful contrast and elegance, like little pieces of vintage storybook art you'd find tucked away on a kitchen shelf. But the one that meant the most to me was Maya's. She was more than just a pet, she was family, a constant, my shadow through many chapters of my life. And before I close, I just want to share one more memory that still makes me smile. Every year on her birthday, we'd bake her little cake. We'd all wear our birthday hats, even her, and gather around and sing happy birthday. As much as Maya loved food, on her birthday, she wouldn't even glance at the cake. She'd just sit there, proud as can be, waiting patiently for the song to finish, soaking it all in like she knew it was her special moment. She was truly one of a kind, and I am so grateful to have had her. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I truly hope that you enjoyed these projects as much as I did. If you did, I'd be so thankful if you gave it a like and left a comment down below. Your words mean so much to me. I read every one. And if you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe and join our little creative corner. I want this space to feel like a happy place where everyone feels welcome and inspired. Now, don't forget to check out Yetta's video. I'll have her link down below. It's Craft Along with Jay, and we'll hope that you'll come back and see us next month. All right, guys, until the next one, bye.